And we're live from the Thomson Reuters, is it Innovation Lab?
Just lab.
Well, innovation's implied, I suppose. When you hack the way we hack tonight, the reason why I'm here, Dazza Greenwood from the Media Lab. This is a preview of the computational law course and a bit of a status update. But on our syllabus, we had a legal hackathon activities, or a couple activities. And one of them was to collaborate with friends and colleagues at Thomson Reuters on the American Bar Association's legal analytics contract prototype jam. And hack we did. So we had a joint team, and it was great to have your team come by the Media Lab and our classroom earlier this week and kind of start to hack, and then we completed it today, and I think it was pretty good. You want to, can I introduce you to Brian, who heads the team here?
Sure.
And so Brian, like what happened? What did we do?
It was awesome. So we had MIT undergrads and guys and gals from the data scientists in the Thomson Reuters Lab, Boston. We're one of 6 labs worldwide, data scientists and visualization folks. And what we did was we took a corpus of cloud computing contracts, and we tried to figure out how can we use them to visualize where a small business might be exposed to risks involved with the new European data privacy law, the GDPR. And so we automated extracting information from these contracts and visualizing it in a pretty simple map interface that allowed you to dive into where are the data centers for this company, what's the governing law, where are the headquarters, all the kind of stuff that you're going to need to know to figure out how to navigate this pretty important law that's about to become enforced.
Yeah, it's going online, as you said in the video, in just like a few months, in May.
Right.
And so it seemed like a good one. The 30 contracts were chosen by Warren Aiken, who's the chair of the legal analytics, this new subcommittee. And he was telling me at a legal hackers event earlier this week that he just wasn't, what we had talked about in the subcommittee, like finding what should this prototype jam relate to? Well, maybe something to do with small business. It's connected with the business law section. Maybe something to do with contracts. We find contracts on the web, and his thought was, yeah, maybe like service as a software as a service contracts. And so he wrote a Python script, I think, to go around and kind of identify and scrape a bunch of them. And I think he got some people at one of the sponsors of the event to help him hone his script. And he did a little bit of work on them in Kira Systems. We started with exactly the same set of about 30 contracts, and here's the hack actually. So we put together just tonight this GitHub Pages project page, and you could kind of see here's a 30-second video just of an overview of what we did. There's the team hacking at the Media Lab, and this is what the site looks like. Oops, that's what this page looks like. Yeah, here we go. So you can kind of click on the jurisdiction. You can click on up here the little renditions of the little cards, basically, that are each of the contracts, and it'll kind of paint on the screen. Basically, it'll paint on the screen on the geo location of the map where the headquarters of the company is, where the data centers are located, what jurisdictions are identified in the contract for the governing law. Pretty great stuff. So I'd have to say overall it was a great hack. We've got a longer video here, it's 5 minutes, going with each of the team members saying what they did, which I think was great as well, to maybe help out the Bar Association and others have a sense of, well, how do you do a data science oriented legal hack? And it's different, it's got a pulse, and there's a nice flavor of it and a sense of the function on this site here. You can also kind of get into the code a bit, like there's links to our GitHub repo, or it's the code like the contracts, and some of the things that we did are described here.
Some of the services that Thomson Reuters makes available, data to people for free that could be brought to bear.
Here's this one. Yeah, and so you use PermID.
PermID.org has basic information about 3.5 million companies worldwide, as well as a tagging tool called Thomson Reuters Intelligent Tagging that you can use to mark up documents. And we put a whole, well, we marked up the whole corpus of 30 contracts through that tool and put it on the GitHub, so anyone's free to use those as well.
Pretty good. Thank you for that, by the way. Great hacking partners. I hope we can do more. We're in the same town. And, plenty of people like doing this between legal hackers and computational law team at the Media Lab and your folks. I foresee many good things to come. Starting with next week, we're on Monday and Tuesday. We come to the point of this preview. Here we go. This tab. Monday and Tuesday, we'll be having the next couple of days on the second half of the computational law course at MIT. And just by way of a quick preview, we're going to be really focusing on these on the core issues of digital identity, especially blockchain-backed identity, but all digital identity and what that means for signing, like electronic signing and authorizations and all kinds of stuff, contracts, and automation, and basically looking at automated contracting and automated transactions, and pairing that up with blockchain transactions, looking at what's the same and what's different legally, and using the law as a source of requirements. And then digital assets. So what is it, this stuff that we're transacting? Well, a lot of times it's not doing exotic electronic transactions so that we can exchange like a chair or like a physical book or something. It's actually about digital assets. We're exchanging data or streams of information, and we're creating data. It's so valuable. It's like the inputs to this data science that we're doing. And so just understanding what that is, where are the rights to ownership, how do you exchange it, how do you value it, that kind of stuff. And so on that, we'll have a really great guest speaker, Overshot, on the first day from, do I have her here? Yeah, here we go. Lynn Weber, who's going to be talking about basically how they value digital assets and the different ways that legal rules have required valuation of assets, but also what we can learn from the rules to maybe compose better technology to create and preserve the kinds of evidence that would make it easier to very quickly identify where this type of property is, and to do exchanges. And she's from Duff & Phelps. We're also going to be starting the day with a little bit closer to home, personal data. So big data coming from lots of systems and businesses, but really data of you from your mobile phone and from your like email data, your geolocation, contacts, really critical data just to have your life organized, to remember things, to really fully be present and participate. Also very important data in terms of the analytics that are possible. So we'll have Adrienne Measles from basically talking about her startup, and it's a really cool app, and that we'll be able to use that as a as a kind of a scenario and a case in point from which to extrapolate to some of the rules we'll be talking about: refactoring law, property, agency, and contracts for automated digital network environments. And the second day, we'll be ready for supply chains, blockchains, with Michael Casey, senior advisor for blockchain research at the Media Lab and the Digital Currency Initiative, and we'll also have some great invited guest speakers joining that session, including Brian from Thomson Reuters, and some other surprise folks as well from like supply chain world and from the blockchain world, and as well as from the legal world and the technology world and crypto and security and business, Sloan folks. So we hope to really start to surface using the supply chain scenario the second day, what it might look like to apply, first of all, like this method of a trading partner agreement or something at the top level that is umbrella for the community is how these things work. So there's some common rules, and then some like ways that people express opting in as a buyer and seller, transaction processor, with these common agreements. That's frequently how they work. And then transaction stuff like a invoice and a receipt and the transaction set. So there's kind of 3 layers there, and they map, I believe, pretty well to the way the modern open web and blockchain transaction ecologies are working out with high level, not so well defined rules right now. The ability to have role-based roles with expectations and relationships, which can have contracts behind them, and then individual transactions that you might see on a blockchain ledger, like how many Ether or Bitcoins from this account to that account. It's very, very practical. And when you start to consider how that would look in a stack that enables every party, business, whether buyer, seller, consumer, some intermediary to know who they are in the context of the transactions and what the rights and obligations are. And then also it allows at the umbrella level, markets to form and ecologies to form, find their stable states. This is good. This is also not different. Like the existing systems and practices can allow that, but we're in early days. So we're hoping that this course can be one of the ways we can look at applying existing law and legal practices to modern technologies, and then beginning to think about adapting and even refactoring, in some cases, the law for the digital age. But we're going to start just by like first year law school. What's property? What's a contract? What's a signature? What's a transaction? Apply it to these new use cases, and together we can begin to understand these new frameworks, and who knows, maybe even start to, in our own way, help to co-create them. Lots of good ideas come out of these classes. So the last thing that I want to say that you should be ready for and that we want to preview is small group exercises. And so if you're participating online, we're going to be giving you the ability to break into small groups with people that we're sort of deputizing to help you get organized, and then to have a little output, whether it's a little contract, or whether it's like a scenario, or how you might structure a deal, how much you think something might be valued. We have lots of different interesting exercises, culminating on the second day with the basically first online mock trial of a digital signature case on the blockchain. So what we're going to be looking at is the intent element. How do you prove that that a party had the required intent to sign based upon the evidence that's been created and preserved from a blockchain transaction? So some of us will know enough of the rules by then. So some people will argue that it's to bring evidence into trial of intent, and others will argue that it's inadmissible for various reasons, or that it's not persuasive, or that it doesn't apply or didn't exist. You'll find out more about that, and then we'll switch and we'll argue the other sides. Then we'll know a great deal more. The idea is that we won't finish anything, but we will now have framed a nice context from which to begin to think, extrapolate forward. What are the design requirements and the design constraints for conducting our businesses and government and other transactions with these blockchain systems and with these digital cryptographically based systems? Autonomous and automated, great. There's also a few other legal and business rules, policy rules, governance rules, consumer protection rules, just basic, theft, crime, fraud, waste, abuse, basic stuff. Not exciting, but nonetheless, as we've learned recently from the Ethereum hack and from some other things, important to have a stable state to look at what the elements of the past were for working systems, and just raise the question: how do we apply and preserve what the purposes were in an appropriate way? Sometimes some of those purposes may be dealt with by the technology, many others won't, and then there'll be new issues. This will be a lens by which we get there. So I hope that you participate. If you'd like to, just sign up at go to law.mit.edu and you can click on the course. And it's not too late to sign up, almost too late, but you want to sign up by the end of this week or maybe Saturday at the latest. We'll see when we close it. For online participation or in Boston, we still have a few seats in the classroom. We've been like guarding them, but I invite you to sign up if you haven't yet. If you have signed up, then get involved and start doing the readings. Tomorrow and the next day and over the weekend, our speakers will be providing background readings and links and an opportunity to begin forming teams and getting engaged, and then hit the ground running on Monday. And then Tuesday, bring our friends into the conversation and kind of blow it open more widely. So with that, if you do have any questions, go to law.mit.edu/contact, and you can pop them in there, and we'll be sure that they're answered properly on the web page, but we'll also try to reply to everybody individually with those questions. Okay, any questions right now? Hearing none, looking forward to seeing you next week. Until then, happy hacking.